Hi, everybody. Welcome to Stampers Club. I'm Karen Trelfa, and today I have a really nice little monochromatic card for you. You're going to absolutely love it, and it's definitely featuring this really pretty die here. You're going to absolutely be amazed at the way this works. Let me show you. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be using the Thoughtful Wishes bundle. I'm just going to be using the greeting out of the stamp set on this card because I really wanted to feature the dies. Now the dies, there's a lot of extra elements in these dies, not just to cut out the images that are in the stamp. And we're going to be playing with this one here. So this is a really nice, unique shaped die that you're really going to like. Another thing I brought in was the Thoughtful Designs Designer Series paper. This is also part of that same suite. And this paper is a specialty paper. So it's plain on one side, so it's a single-sided paper, but it's got a pretty pattern in it. But the nice part is that it variegates from a light to a dark. So this goes from like a Lost Lagoon to a Pretty Peacock, Petunia Pop, Calypso Coral, Cajun Craze, and then again, the Wild Wheat, which we're going to be using. And if you ever wondered on Stampin' Up's papers, either whether it be the specialty papers or the designer series paper, right on the back of the packaging, it tells you what colors are in there so that you can actually color match perfectly, because you know how all of our cardstocks and everything coordinate with each other. So like, for instance, with this Wild Wheat that we're going to be playing with, everything matches, right? So let me set this aside and get out the paper and things that we're going to be using. So what we're going to need is some Wild Wheat cardstock. This is a half of a sheet of 8.5 by 11, so it's 5.5 by 8.5. And I'm just going to fold that in half. Even though I scored this at 4 1/4, I still like to hold the paper along the edge, because, sometimes we don't always score perfectly straight and, things move around. And sometimes you don't cut straight. But I just hold the edges, and then I take my bone folder and I just kind of go up and over. And that way it kind of keeps it more square on the bottom. So if you ever find yourself having this little kind of a weird shape here, it's just because you need a little extra care along that bottom edge. Then I used another piece of Wild Wheat, and I embossed this with the zinnias folder. Oh, it's upside down. Flower's going to go upright, right? And I've already pre-done this because I figured you guys probably know how to emboss. If not, check out one of my other videos that shows you how to emboss stuff. There you go. Go ahead and scoop through my playlist there. I'm going to find my tape. And again, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. You always want to get notified when I have more cool videos coming out. So I'm going to run tape on the whole outside edge of this because it was embossed. The cardstock gets a little bit more flimsy, especially one that's got a lot of embossing like this one. And then this is just cut with an 1/8 inch border. So I have this is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. It's a really narrow border. I wanted it to appear like it was almost fully embossed. Now I could have embossed the card front itself. I could have done that. But because this is it really breaks down the paper, I wanted to have that extra stiffness on the card. So that's why I did it as a separate piece of cardstock. Okay. So then I used some very vanilla paper and 3 strips of that designer paper. And I cut it in a rectangle and then cut it apart. So eventually, you might want to match up those patterns so that they flow across the page like they should, right? I keep losing my tape and it's like right here. Who does that besides me? I know I'm terrible at trying to find things on my desk. They're like right in front of me and I can't find them. So I'm going to kind of start in the center here and lay these down. Actually, let me line this up a little bit better here. Let me line those right up on the side so I can see where I'm going. I'm going to put that one down just to get, too much glue. All right, I want it to be here, here. That's about right. All right, so then this is going to go in between the two. I guess I could have marked it with a pencil, but this seems to work out just fine. Gotta go down a little bit. And I think I'm straight. There we go, that one. Then we'll do the right side. Put that one down. Try to put it straight so they line up. And then the left side. Now I've used a lot of this paper, so I'm kind of down to the darker half of this shaded paper, but that's okay. It all still matches. It's all coordinating colors. And then this I taped right to the card. I know I haven't gotten to those dimensionals yet. You know I will. My little Stampin' Diamonds. And that's just going to go right in the middle. It has a little bit of a variegated. The camera's not picking it up very well, but there is still a variegated. It's light up here and it goes to the dark down here. All right, so then for that wonderful piece of die cut, isn't that just beautiful? Now this again is also in wild wheat, and I don't have scrap paper and I need some, so we're just going to use another piece of wild wheat. And wild wheat ink and a blending brush. Now, I don't want to have, I just wanted this to be a little bit more highlighted so it wasn't so tone on tone. I'm just going to pounce on this. I'm not going to brush the whole thing because I want it to not be perfect. So I'm just going to kind of pounce on it. So then I end up with, I end up with a piece that has highs and lows on it. It's not all exactly one color. Okay, set that aside. And I layered this on top of some of the in color jute. So I'm just gonna get a piece of this here. This stuff does peel apart pretty easily, but I'm gonna put a knot in it in the middle, and I'm gonna work from two halves because I want this to stay together. So I'm just gonna kind of put a knot in the middle, and then I'm gonna unravel this a little bit. I wanna break this apart. I don't want it to be 100%, still rolled up. I want it to be kind of fuzzy. And that it just peels apart really easily like that. And you can also, excuse me, my nose is itchy. This spring allergies are horrible. You can use your scissors and kind of pull this apart, but this one kind of shreds a little bit. But you can actually fuzzy this up a little bit more. Just put your scissors in there and pull it apart. The jute's a little shreddy, but it does work very well. And because I wanted it to a little more broke down. And then let's do the other half, the other side, I should say. Same thing. Just going to unroll it. And then they'll just peel apart. There's like 3 strands that are defined. There's probably more. There's probably more like 6 or 8 strands that are kind of woven around each other, but I'm just gonna undo them like that. Yep. Okay, and then let me get my scissors and do the same thing here on this side. Just want to break this down a little bit more because I want it to be a little more subtle. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Sometimes it's like I struggle with words. Who else struggles with words? Now you can see a lot more projects on my website at stampersclub.com. I don't do videos on every card I share, but I do share a lot over there. So that's always fun to go see or go look at too. And let me get a glue dot here. And I'm just going to put that right in the middle of my card. And I'm going to trim this because I don't really want it this long. I don't want it to go off the card that far. I'm just going to give it a little haircut. Not too much, but a little bit. Oh, I got these little, I'm going to have those little fuzzers like everywhere, right? All right. So then this, I'm going to get 2 mini glue dots. And I'm going to put a mini glue dot, a mini dimensional. I'm going to put a mini dimensional on either side of that knot. It's not going to show. I know it's going to look funny here, but it's not. Don't worry about it. And I want to do it in this direction. It's just what I'm using to hold that piece, that element down in place, okay? So then we have, oh gosh, my nose. Sorry, guys. So then I have just a couple of small pieces of paper. One of them is for the greeting, the very vanilla. And I'm using the greeting that says, thinking of you fondly. And again, in wild wheat. Okay. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but I mounted my stamp on an angle so that I don't actually see the square. And I also trimmed my stamp. Don't be afraid to take a pair of scissors and trim those, because sometimes they get, they're a little offset when they're in the manufacturing. And then you can't really tell exactly where you're at when you're doing a small strip like this. All right, and then this, I'm just going to give it a little bit of an angle cut here. All right, and I want just a little tape on the back. Tape on the back. Oops, I got fuzzers everywhere. All right, and then I'm just using a piece of 1/4 inch black. Just giving it a little bit of a highlight here. Okay, and then I'm going to just trim on each edge. Just a little bit here. Okay. Now, again, I'm going to use a couple of dimensionals. I'm just going to put them right kind of over the top here on the top of this. And if I can get that backing off. Oh, it like flipped around. That's weird. We're going to start over on that. And I'm going to add on this side, I'm going to double stack this one side just to kind of keep my project a little bit level. A little bit of a trick. You can stack these up all kinds of ways. And then I'm going to go right over the top of that dimensional that was there, and it's going to hide that I did in the middle there. So as you can see, we have a little bit, let me tuck that back under there. So we have just the die, a little bit of the jute, a really pretty greeting, definitely monochromatic, tone on tone, thinking of you fondly with that very shiny, pretty designer paper in the background. All right. So thank you so much for stopping by. Again, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. You'll be able to get notifications of the rest of the videos I have. Check out my other playlist. You're going to love some of the things I have going on over there on YouTube. And don't forget to pop on over to stampersclub.com and check out some of the other projects I've shared with you. You can also sign up for my newsletter there too, so you can get notified of other fancy little projects and tutorials. I share those too. So you guys have a stamp happy day, and bye for now.